All right, Rosemary, you have the giant clock, is that right?
Yes, I do, unfortunately.
No problem. No worries. Okay. Rosemary is correct. This is our last meeting as far as our Hangout on Air goes. And well, I'll take just a minute here. I'm going to do this before I start the spiritual thought. A couple of things, and hopefully everybody at least watches this much. We have this week, a normal week. Week 12 has the last paper you turned in week 11. I will have that graded hopefully by Saturday. And that should be your last major paper. For the doohickeys papers, we do have one due in week 13, but it is only on the content from week 12. Hopefully, does that, have we had that message before, and does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, only on week 12. So here's the thing. I want you to put half into your brain. Half as long, half as many problems, half as many solutions. So instead of 4 problems with 4 solutions each, anybody want to guess what that's going to be?
Oh, we only have to do 2 solutions?
No, 2 problems
with
4 solutions. You still got 4 solutions.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
I thought you were being really generous
Well,
tonight.
Wow! I am so excited! Woo! Yay!
I'm giving you half, not a quarter. Otherwise, that would be a quarter of the word.
Oh, okay.
I can give you 4 problems with 2 solutions if you want, but no, we'll do 2 problems with 4 solutions, and it is only out of week 12, so it's going to be all about what we talked about last week. Okay, because we had 10 and 11 were what you covered on your week 11 paper, so it's only on. I'm sorry, not what we covered last week. It's what we cover this week. Sorry.
Great. Yeah.
So
I was going to say,
to make sure I'm clear again, 2 problems with 4 solutions each on week 12's content, which is society and the workplace, which we're going to talk about tonight. Okay. There is no meeting of any kind. There is no requirement to be in class of any kind. There's nothing next week except turning in your final doohickeys assignment and taking the final exam. Okay? That should be open on Saturday. So the final exam, if it's not open on, it may actually be open
It's already open. I'm almost done with it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's great. Just a reminder for everybody on the final exam, it's open book, open note, open anything except help from somebody else. Okay? So doohickeys paper is due, final exam is due. The last thing I want to remind everybody, and this is especially for those that aren't here, is for those, I don't know if you remember this or not, we have 3 points for what now? You guys should remember this.
For attending your meeting?
Correct. 3 points for every one of those. If you attended all, now we had one that was not held because I don't know what it was. Something came up and I was not able to be here. I think we had.
You were on campus at a meeting.
You were on campus.
Oh, that's right. Okay. It was just the one that we missed, right?
Right, yeah. But you videoed something and we watched that.
Right, but that's not the same as that's not a full hour, so we're not going to give points for that one. So you will have, I think we didn't have that the first week, week 0. So somebody that has a better brain than me, I think that means there's 10, something like that we actually had.
Yeah, we're going to miss 2, and we've got 12 weeks, so that would be 10.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So out of what I need you guys to do, everybody, and again, that's not just the ones that are here. Email me how many you attended, and it's an on your honor thing. The way I describe it is, if you've got to lie about this, you've got a whole lot bigger problems in this class. So you're going to email me how many out of that 10 you attended, and I will give you 3 points for each of those.
Does that mean attended and took part in the discussion, or does that mean watched the
Either
video?
One. Either one.
Oh, either one. Oh, okay. That's easy.
So for those of you that have watched, and you guys are awesome. The ones that are here tonight get a special pat on the back. I know that doesn't give you any points, but at least it's a pat on the back. A special pat on the back for being here and enjoying the camaraderie and the fellowship, and hopefully that's been enjoyable. But everybody that watched it gets those points. So If you didn't, don't tell me, and if you did, do. So again, doohickeys due on Saturday, the not this Saturday, the
25th.
week from. Thank you.
The 25th.
Thank you, Rosemary. The other thing is there is no work accepted after Saturday. After Saturday at 6 p.m. or 9 p.m., I'll send a written notice. Let me take that back. Saturday at midnight. After that, there is no work. Nothing will be accepted late, nothing at all, because I have to do grades and get all that done. So Saturday at midnight, the 25th, we're done. And so that's the last time for you to submit work. All right, am I being clear? Hopefully. Who wants to regurgitate what I just said so I can see if I was clear or not? So what's due between now and the end of class?
The final and the doohickey.
Okay. Doohickey's how long?
The doohickey is half, so normally it's 3,200 words. We'd have to do half that, about 1,600 words. 2 problems, still 4 solutions.
4 solutions.
Okay, very good.
And
All right.
we've got to report our attendance for our weekly meetings.
Very good.
10 meetings by
or
email.
10 meetings. By email.
Right. Please send me an email with that.
Okay.
And you can do that anytime. You can do it tonight if you'd like, whenever you'd like to do that. So, and then we will have. Great. I have after that Saturday. I have till the following Wednesday. So Rosemary, you appear to be our calendar person. What's the Wednesday following the 25th?
Let's see, that'd be the 25th is Saturday.
Right.
Tuesday. And you said it's what day?
Wednesday.
Oh, that'll be the 29th.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will have grades posted by noon on Wednesday the 29th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably sooner than that, but that's when they'll be done. So, are we cool? Any questions on that? Anything anybody disagrees with? Again, we still lost Aaron. We must have really scared him off. So, alrighty. Our spiritual thought tonight, hopefully this will be of worth to someone. I gave a talk on Sunday, but it's part of my high council responsibilities. Not that I'm looking to give talks, but it's required. And it was about, I cannot remember the brother's name that gave it, but it was the concept that we heard in General Conference that says a sinner is a saint is a sinner who a saint is a sinner who keeps on trying. Elder Renlund, I think is his name, gave that talk, and I think the key that goes along with that I still like is that, we look at tonight's discussion. There are a lot of things going on in society right now. I don't know if you guys see them in your lives as much as we do, but everything from what happens in other countries to what happens in our own backyard, what happens in families, the struggles families have, what goes on in the workplace, blah, blah, blah. Everything from society comes into the workplace. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But the thing I wanted to point out from that talk I gave is that there are so many people that think I'm not going to make it because there's just too much stuff. Too much pain, too much anguish, too much sin, too much you name it. But I really like the premise of that talk, which is basically, you know what, you're not going to make it perfect. We're going to, some general authority in days gone by gave this talk that says we're going to go across that finish line a lot beat up, we're going to be tired, and we're just going to kind of go, I made it. All right, we're not going to come across that finish line all polished and clean and pretty, and we're going to be scarred and worn and hopefully filled with the Spirit of the Lord, but we're not going to be polished and sweet. It's going to be a long race, and whether our lives are short or long, we all have challenges to bear. But his talk was cool because I think the key is that as long as we keep trying, the atonement of Christ will keep being beneficial for us. We'll still provide forgiveness that he provides for us for everything we've ever done or everything we ever will do. And that's important to remember. And the enabling power of the atonement that when we just feel like life is too hard, I can't get it done, I can't finish the semester, I have kids that are a mess, or I have a problem with my marriage, or I don't have a marriage anymore, or whatever those things are, whenever our trials are, we have the enabling power of the atonement to help us get there. And I really think that concept is so important. You know, the end of the semester, you can liken it to a life that we have. You know, our lives are tough, and the end of the semester is tough. And you're going to finish this semester and start another one, and you guys are going to be graduating eventually and doing all those things. And it's kind of like an analogy, a small way of life, but if you keep going like Elder Renlund talks about, or I keep going, I'm not saying that's about you, I think we have a whole lot better perspective on things. And I say that tonight in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 I love that talk. It was awesome, and I gave a different version of that. The two pieces and I'll quit talking here. The two pieces I added to it were patience and perseverance. I think those are two things that we're required to develop in this earth life, is to be patient, because none of us have stuff happen as fast as we want it to. We don't have enough money fast enough. We don't look good enough. We're to this, we're to that, we're not this, we're not that. We have this, we have that. So we need patience. And the other part is perseverance. We just have to keep trying, which is, again, his point of his talk is get up, brush the dust off, seek forgiveness and the enabling power of the atonement, and we move on from there. So, yeah, now I'm done. Sorry.
Thank you.
All right. So, I think this is, we changed the class around. This is the first semester we put this topic at the end, which I think is wonderful. Now, what are the society issues that come into the workplace? Just rattle them off. I'm going to type for a little while. You guys talk.
Issues with health.
Okay. Very good.
Divorce. Drug abuse.
Absolutely. Okay. Keep going.
Any kind of substance abuse.
Okay. What else?
Family issues,
Okay. Like what, Nancy?
like just having maybe children at home that have schedules, and you know, maybe you might have a commute, or there's just issues there with, you know, being a caregiver.
Okay. You're getting warmer. There's more.
I think sometimes they're spouses too. I know my brother has a wife that likes to be really involved in his work, and it's cost him some jobs because she won't leave him alone and let him do his work.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right.
I think you see a lot of single parenting, like especially probably single mothers that need a lot of extra support at work because they're on their own and don't have necessarily support outside of work.
Okay. Very good. All right. What else?
Could you put physical handicaps in there?
Sure.
Physical limitations?
That's a good one.
What about a lack of principles and morals that seem to be pervading society? There's, you know, I wonder how many honest, trustworthy people are still out there. I live in a bubble, so I don't know.
Okay.
But
all right.
Lack of integrity, or
yeah.
Okay. All right. What else?
I think there's differing political opinions
Ah, good one.
that you have to work with.
Okay.
right,
Absolutely.
and differing opinions on social issues, like you know, like the gay marriage issue, or just different type of social issues.
What about work ethics too? There's different work ethics.
Awesome. Keep going. There's more.
Oh gosh, let's see.
How about inter-office romances?
There you go.
There you go.
Really add some drama.
Well, guess what? Where do at least probably outside young people in the church, more people meet at work than anywhere else before that form families or relationships. More than bars, more than you name it, they meet at work. And that adds a whole lot of fun and interesting things.
What about different educational levels?
Very good. That's in society, that's in work, that's all over the place. I'm going to give you a hint on one here.
Okay.
Parents, and I'm referring to typically aging parents.
Yeah.
Almost every person I know, because I'm kind of getting old, anyone that's even remotely close to my age has one or more aging parents they're dealing with. It's a big deal. I have 3. My wife's father, her mother's passed away, and both of my parents, who are 88 and 81, and they're lots of stuff there, and some of it spills over into the workplace. Okay.
Right.
What else? Any others? Anything else? Have we reached our limit here?
Possibly limit like financial problems that families might be having at home. You know, they may have kids at college and trying to pay for that, and they're having problems balancing their bills.
Okay, very good.
Or
Right.
economic problems, issues in their families.
And those are everywhere.
Yeah.
If you have $3 million in the bank, you still think you have economic worries. Okay. I'd like to try that one, but I don't. You know, that's certainly not me. But that's a concern. Okay.
Yes.
A couple of others that are probably minor. You guys keep thinking. Things like transportation. So many people have a hard time just getting to work. All right. Here's a good one for you. Waking up. I don't know what it's like at your work. But we have a hard time with people getting where they need to be on time. It's a big deal in society today, and you know, it's not as cute as oh, you're late, no big deal. You know, there's problems that go with that are concerning. Okay. All right. A couple others. This one is not a small one.
What about work-life balance? I know I'm constantly harping on my husband. You really can work less than 10 hours a day. I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can be home before 7 o'clock at night.
That would be
You leave at 7
awesome.
o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I leave at 6 and I get home at 7:30 most of the time. So, and you notice I'm not in my office today. I'm actually home. So
Yeah.
that's because we're going to San Diego tomorrow, and I haven't packed or anything else, and it's already, you know, you can see what time it is. All right. Okay, we got a good list here. Now, I want you each to, can you guys see my list that I put there?
No.
Oh, it's not in the group chat? You can't see it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I apologize.
I
Oh,
made
there
it.
it is. There it is. You have to click on that little icon, y'all, up at the top left, the blue icon, and then his list is there to the right.
Oh, I see
Got
it.
it.
Got it.
Okay, thank you. Everybody pick one, and we're going to talk about it. So you guys take a look. Pick one you find interesting. There's 4 of us here tonight. We know they're all here. Let's pick one to talk about in the workplace, and we're going to have that discussion tonight. And whoever's yawning has to stop because you're going to put me to sleep.
Sorry, I'm sorry. The sun has gone down.
It's fine. I'm only giving you a hard time, Jennifer. I had a church meeting that went till 1 o'clock last night. So,
wow.
so I've been okay today, but it's not going to last long. Let's put it that way.
That doesn't sound like a fun church meeting either.
No, it
that
wasn't.
went to one.
It was not a fun church meeting.
No. Okay.
All right, let's start with Nancy. Go ahead. Look, you pick one.
Okay. I was just thinking about the issue of having a spouse at home that you're a caregiver, whether it be a spouse or an aging parent or someone that's like handicapped, and you're trying to balance. Because I got a text message yesterday from my boss, and he said, "I don't want you to freak out." He said that Carla gave her notice, and he said she just can't she's our marketing manager, our brand
Okay.
manager, and he said she, just the issues she has with her husband. He's in the military, and he has PTSD, and whenever she comes into the office, even working remotely, she comes in like every other Monday and Tuesday, and she was having to get sitters, to come in, and it just wasn't working.
Okay.
It's like
And,
I
and,
wish she
and
could have worked at home all the time, but they wouldn't really trust her because she was, she'd only been there a year. I wish they could have trusted her to just work at home all the time.
well, and it's a very difficult thing. So let's take that a minute. What are issues, whoever that person is that you have to care for? Let's call it child, and let's call it spouse, because again, that's a very real example, Nancy. Aging parents-in-law, you name it. What are some of the issues that are there in the workplace with that?
Well, I know they get phone calls all day long,
Okay. Okay.
with issues.
And they're trying to do a job, and they're constantly getting, or many times getting interrupted. Very much, absolutely. What else?
I think it adds stress.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge amount of stress. All right.
Yeah,
What
it
else?
takes away from you can't concentrate as well either on your job. You can't stay focused.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. I agree with that. Okay. What else?
I would
Nicole,
think
what do
there's.
you?
I would
Go
say I
ahead.
would think there's also a lot of tardiness that would probably is involved with that. Things aren't going to be normal.
Yeah, here's the thing. These are not people that are trying to be late or disrespect the company. These are people that are trying to do the absolute best they can. And if things are in a mess at home, you can't leave when things are up in the air and there are problems there. Whether it's a little child and the babysitter didn't show up, which certainly happens, or grandma and grandpa, whatever the case might be, you name it. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. So
Yeah.
very good. Thank you.
I have both those issues too. My husband has PTSD, and then I have my mom that's living with it. And it doesn't really affect like tardiness, but it does affect my attendance. I have to use sick leave to go and take care of their needs. So,
Right.
I'm not late or anything, but I'm not necessarily at work when I could be at work.
Right. And again, welcome, Lynn Ann. Glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
One of the things I would add is that you're taking those sick days. I would bet you're taking vacation days too. Am I getting warm on that, Rosemary? And
Yes.
you know what? That means you're not out having fun anywhere. All you're doing is the drudgery of work. And I'm not saying your work is drudgery. Please don't take it that way. But most of us would probably say that. And the stress of taking care of someone at home and the issues that go with that. So that's tough. Okay. Lynn Ann, we're talking about issues in the workplace that are affected by society, and we're doing spouses, aging parent, caregiver, child, whatever the case may be. So that's what we're chatting about. So, all right, what else comes up with this that we already kind of talked about?
I think you have to schedule it. Obviously, when you're working, you have, some things are going to happen when you're prepared or not. And,
Well, I can think of doctor's appointments and things like that. You're not going to get a doctor's appointment at 6 o'clock at night. At least it doesn't work that way in my world. Okay.
or if your spouse or your parent falls,
Right.
and they, something's broken, or they can't get up and they're by themselves.
Okay. All those things. All right. Now, I don't want to leave this as the last thing we do is send ourselves into major depression. Because thanks for this enlightening evening, Jeff. And I had a great time, but I want to go out and shoot myself because of what I feel like out of this. So I want to take a little bit of time on each one of these. Is then how do we make that work? We're an HR person. You're running a company. How do you make this caregiver thing work? There's issues. We know they're all over the place. What are some things you can do, either from our reading or common sense, things you guys feel you can do with that?
Well, it sounds like in Nancy's case, they could let her work from home and try it out. I mean, it's better to have her working from home and getting something done than to be without her completely or to have to replace her. I mean, I would at least think for a trial period you could try it out.
Okay.
Right.
some people that may work, some may not. But Nancy, is that something that you guys have at least talked about, I assume, right?
Yeah, well, our last brand marketing manager had worked in the office for 4.5 years, and then her husband accepted a position at a university, at Chowan University in North Carolina, so they moved out, or I guess South Carolina, and so they moved out there, and I just remember Brooke resigning, and I said, I can't believe we're letting her go. Like, can't she just work remotely from her house? And then 2 days later, they offered to let her work from her house, and she stayed on another, I think, 3 years, and then she took a position at the university with her husband, you know, telling that brand story.
But did that work okay while she took the extra 3 years?
It worked wonderful because she knew our system, and she knew the culture of our office. There was just no, she knew our work ethic and understood that, you know, our bosses weren't just giving orders, they were rolling up their sleeves along with us and doing the same amount of work that we were all doing. And so when this young lady came on, she was working from her home office, and I don't think she ever understood the culture, you know, myself, but just coming in once a week, and she would come in, you know, she would consider her 3-hour commute from San Antonio, part of her workday. So she never was there till 9:30 or 10, and then she was out of there by 4. So it was kind of one of those things where it was like, oh, I need you here just a little bit longer, you know, and it was kind of tough because they would just, it was a little tough.
Yeah, that's a tough thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know, we did not put on that list working remotely, but this has got a flavor of that when it talks about this. So what else do you think we can do to make this caregiver type of situation better?
You could have a flex schedule, a schedule that, you know, they don't necessarily come in at the same time or come in later, or, you know.
Okay.
Right.
So if mom is really tough to deal with in the morning, then maybe you can start at 10, you know, and then work till 7 or something like that. You know, there's different ways to do that. Very good. What else on this topic? I've got one thing I'm looking for we haven't talked about yet.
I think maybe selective days. I mean, I don't know how that would work. Maybe you'd come in Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays.
Okay.
That's another option.
Okay. All right. The option I'm looking for is technology. Now, everybody knows about conference calls, but after you guys have done this, is there any reason you would not feel comfortable going into a meeting like we're doing here? All right. So I don't know if people have laptops or what, but let's say you've got 4 people in a conference room and everybody's got a laptop and we're all having this chat. If you know me, we've worked together and we do those kind of things, is that a possibility that we can do, that I can be somewhere else and still be very much involved in that conversation?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And not every company is that going to work, but it's certainly one to explore as an HR person. The technology is certainly better now than it's ever been. And again, you guys, you're experts. I mean, you've worked through the headaches of the Google Plus system, and I'm also including almost everybody in the class because everybody's doing the group meetings and recording them and doing all those things. So all that is good and all that is working. So you've got technology down in some ways. Okay. All right. All right. Good. That's a good one. Let's pick another one. And Lynn Ann, why don't you pick one that we're all going to go. We're going to pick one each for everybody and go through these. So we'll go through
some of the ones. I don't have the chat up.
Go to the blue box on the top left. Click on that and it'll pop up. Okay. While she's doing that, what about everybody else? Let's pick another one.
Group chat. Oh, I found a smiley.
There you go.
How about diversity and political differences that you encounter?
Okay. All right.
That's a good one.
I'm going to pick diversity first. And what I mean by that, I'm going to talk about different races, Was one of you going to pick the issue of same-sex marriage slash family slash attraction, or can we lump that in with diversity?
That
Yeah.
could be part of diversity.
Okay. All right. Whether you like this word or don't like this word, the world is not the same, pardon the expression, but Ozzie and Harriet place, where the '60s, where everybody, mom stayed home, dad went to the office in his little suit and his skinny tie, and everybody was white, and they all smiled and lived happily ever after. It isn't that way anymore. And I think most of us are probably glad it's not that way, because that's not always an exciting place to work. But so what do we do as HR people? We already talked about some of the things that are challenging. What do we do to make this concept of diversity work? Whether it's the same-sex issue, whether it's race, whether it's religion, whether it's you name it. What are some ideas?
Well, I think that everybody needs to have respect. If there's respect that's shown, then they'll show that respect back.
Okay, very good.
I think you need, when you're looking at your hiring, you need to look at, are you hiring a diverse group of people?
What was one of the problems with doohickeys?
They weren't hiring.
Who were they hiring?
Just
Diverse people.
Okay, they were hiring
white
folks
guys.
that looked just like them.
Yep.
And acted just like them, and I promise, in Rexburg or Idaho Falls or someplace you can even think maybe this wouldn't happen, there's still ways to make that happen. And that includes religious differences. You don't have to hire, if you're in charge of a company, you don't have to hire all your Mormon friends.
Right.
All right, and I'm not saying that to be disparaging. That's not my point. Is that there's lots of ways to bring difference to the table. Okay, what else? Good thoughts so far.
I think maybe just making an emphasis on the culture of your company and bringing people together through that commonality, rather than focusing on the differences. Focus on what they have in common.
Excellent.
The common good of the company.
Very good.
right.
Yep, I love that. That's awesome. Because again, the company should have its own culture. And if you're doing it right, it's a culture that's positive and uplifting, not without its problems, but positive, uplifting, and making it work for you. Very good. What else? What else do you do to make this diversity thing work?
I like what we had talked about earlier in the semester about making sure everyone's voice is heard, that you don't homogenize and expect everyone to fall under the same category, but you need to be willing to accept and work with those differences.
Okay. A lot of this, and Nicole, your thought has me come about toward the difference between men and women. Men and women look at things differently. They process things differently. They bring different skills. If it's a bunch of guys that are being knuckleheads and not listening to women in the office, guess what? They're missing out on lots and lots of good things, and they're probably shortchanging the company. And again, we've all probably seen that or heard of that happening. So that's very good, Nicole. Thank you. What else? Other things we can do to make the workplace better from a diversity perspective. Let's take this same-sex marriage issue for now. What do you do with that?
Well, you can't discriminate. You have to offer them the same benefits and
Okay.
that you're offering to everyone else.
Okay. And I don't know if you guys have paid much attention to this, but the church especially came out and said, hey, this is not something we're ever going to do either. And so even though you don't necessarily agree with what they are doing, you don't do those things. You give everybody equal opportunity, equal chance, and that kind of thing. So, I mean, the Lord and His church have let out even in that area that may be different. And if we can do it, certainly anybody else can choose to do that. Okay? Good.
And then
Sorry,
and also I was just going to add to just treat them kindly in the workplace and cordially, not giving them the cold shoulder or just staying completely away from them. Because when I worked for Continental Airlines years ago in a reservations office in Houston, 50% of that workforce, even in the 80s, was almost all the guys that were there were gay. So it was they were also all really nice and very good, did a very good job at their jobs.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
We
Very
got
good.
along well. We got along.
Okay. Other thoughts?
Well, I think
Well,
diversity is good because it brings in different ideas. With different cultures, you get different ideas and different perspectives on how to solve problems.
Okay, I agree with that. I'm going to add one more thing before we leave this item, and that is food. Now, that may or may not help with the same-sex attraction thing, but you have different ethnic groups, you have different racial groups, you have all different people like this. It's really interesting to see when you have people bring food that they think is good and help people understand, hey, one of the easiest ways to help people get to know each other is to, try out different food. And if you've got a halfway adventurous workforce, it can be a fun way to try to break some of that ice. So
I have a fun experience with that. When my husband and I moved to Italy and he was working for an Italian company, we thought that it would be really fun to let them taste root beer because they didn't have root beer in Italy. So we made all these special arrangements and we got this root beer and we brought it to work and we were all excited and they all tasted it and they all hated it because it tastes like their antibiotic. And they have a soda that tastes like our penicillin that we drank when we were kids. So we got a good laugh out of that. That it was but it was fun, and it helped him to bond with his workworkmates and they would make fun of each other. Yeah. So
they told him, don't bring any more root beer,
yeah,
please.
Yeah, please, no more. Yeah.
Okay. I've heard of that. That's good. All right. Good thoughts. You know what? We're not going to get near enough time on these tonight, but I wanted just to have you think about this. This concept of diversity is alive and real. It's going to continue to grow, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And what I would encourage you to think is, how do I use that for our advantage? The folks at Doohickeys didn't figure that out, and one of the things about that as an HR person is you've got to figure out how to do that and help people work together, get along, and celebrate those differences rather than think they're bad. Okay? All right. So we've had two. We've had the caregiver. We've had diversity. Somebody pick another one for me.
I'm going to pick single parents.
All right. Single parents.
Single parents.
Okay. Single parents.
So you have a lot. Oh, go ahead.
No, well, that's fine. What do you think we do to, again, we've already talked about the challenges, so what do we do to try to make that work? All right. Lynn, go ahead. You were going to say something.
I was going to say lots of challenges are associated with that, with time schedules and kids and school and, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments. If something happens to your child at school, you have to leave work because you have to find out what happened in, the principal's office or whatever. There's lots of different challenges. If your child is sick and you have to stay home, then hopefully you'll have a company that will be able to say, we're having a conference call. Can you do like Google Plus? And you'll be able to do that while your child's at home sick.
Okay. All right. What else can we do to make that a little bit easier or make that better for people?
I would think some of the same things that go in line with being a caregiver are going to apply with single parents. There's going to need to be flexibility with schedules and stuff like that.
Okay.
And you could even just allow them to take some work home,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to throw a wrench in your thoughts here. I don't have any little kids at home anymore. I have a wife, but that doesn't qualify me really as a single parent. So let's see. Jennifer gets to go home a couple days a week because little Johnny doesn't feel well. And how about me? I'm stuck here. What about me? I'd like to go home. How do you address that? How do you make it fair?
Yeah, that's tough.
Right, because that actually happens, and you're just like the stuff has to get done. But,
you don't have any kids at home. You stay.
I would think it would be better if you could offer, if you're going to be flexible with one, you've got to be flexible with others. Maybe offer everyone a flexible schedule.
Okay, to some extent. Okay.
Yeah, maybe like leave 2 hours early or something after work. Well, leave at 3 instead of at 5.
Right. Well, what I would encourage you guys to think about when it comes to this or the parenting issue, when you talk about these, is that you can be flexible, but you have to understand what the limits are to that flexibility, and how you make it fair to other people that don't need it. Because again, the last thing you want to do is say, no kids, great, tie yourself to that chair. And I think what Nicole was talking about, I think it was you, Nicole, that said, hey, you know what, we're going to do a little bit of this for everybody. And you know what, it's your turn to work at home, or it's your turn to do a couple things early, or whatever that needs to be. My point is just consider that from the whole workforce perspective, because as much as we care about single parents, you can't make that your complete focus to where that's just something that all they get, and that's not any good for the rest of us. So, okay.
It almost reminds me of, back in the day when we'd go to work and there was this group that all smoked, and they all would go take all these smoking breaks. And I'm like, I need to take just a break, but I couldn't take a break because I wasn't one of them, the smokers. So it's like, the smokers got a break.
I'd like to go to the bathroom, please. Is that okay?
Yeah, totally. We're lucky, literally lucky to get to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, not something that's good if it needs to be fair. Now, it doesn't mean that everything needs to be equal. That it doesn't mean everybody has to be treated exactly the same. But there's probably some guidelines that you're going to want to do that make this more fair than not. Okay? All right, we got two more. Who hasn't picked one yet?
I haven't, and I was wondering just about financial issues that employees might have. Okay.
When was the last time you walked into your office and somebody said, I need a raise? Okay, put your HR hat on here for a minute. You think that happens a lot?
Yeah.
What about during those financial problems? I know we've had in our place before too. Is that the people that you owe money to are calling you at work?
Okay. So I owe money to my Uncle Fred, and Uncle Fred's on the phone calling me, "Where's my money?" Or your neighbor, or whoever that would be.
Or Sears, or whoever. Yeah. You bought that recruiter. And they want their money from you.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay. When you look at this, hang on, I didn't put that. When you look at this concept of financial concerns, there's a couple things that happen. There's always and by the way, we've got garnishments. That one happens all the time. Mm-hmm. That affects us in our payroll department. We've got to put that in their pay. We have to take money out. They don't like it. Lots of people will quit a job to escape a garnishment. At least men will. Yep. They will leave and go somewhere else and then hope they think it doesn't catch up with them or whatever the case might be. Okay, we have that a lot.
The other thing I could think of that would happen, financial problems, would be that I could be tempted to, depending on if I have access to money, take money, or if I make business trips and I make, fraudulent claims against those trips, people get tempted to do illegal things.
Yeah. I had an assistant in our HR department. We had a petty cash fund for rewards that we gave out to people. Took $1,500, went to Disneyland. We caught her and tried to prosecute her, and it never happened. But that was just plain old annoying. This is the person that worked directly for me, and I thought was honest and scrupulous. Just took that cash and went to Disneyland. Like, oh well, and never came back to work because she knew that she would get caught. If she was smart, she probably would have come back and said, I don't know what happened to it. But we obviously knew it was her, but she didn't show back up again. So we went to her house to try to confront her, and her car had a Disneyland stuff in the car still that they had just gotten back.
Wow.
And so it was pretty nervy. Okay. Here's what I'll say about financial. Financial impacts everybody across the board. If you don't have that with 95% of your employees, I'd be really surprised. Now, to some people, it's a huge issue. To some people, it's a minor issue. How many people have two jobs because they're trying to make ends meet? Almost everybody. Am I warm on that?
Yep.
There are a lot of
sounds
people,
right.
and even if people don't have two jobs, let's say mom or dad stays home, there's still financial pressure, sometimes even worse, because they don't have two incomes. Okay? So I would say be sensitive. What I would say is also to whoever said it, make sure you're smart, make sure you verify, make sure you keep controls on cash, make sure you explain to employees what they're doing and why. And then the other part is I would make sure, I'm double speaking here, that that you have a performance process that rewards behavior, and people don't walk up to you and say, I need a raise because I don't have any money.
Right.
You know, you're getting a review and you know what you're worth and you're paid what you're worth. That just eliminates a lot of that.
Right.
It's like, no, we don't give you a raise because you need money. You know, you had a raise 3 months ago. You did a great job. We told you why you did this. Here's your performance. We rated you for that. Here's what that is. No, you're not getting a raise. Sorry. You know, I'm sorry you're having financial issues. Go talk to the human resource people. Maybe they can give you some counseling or something like that. So, all right, good thoughts.
I also had another thought too, as well as there are some companies that if you're higher up in management and you've been there for 3 months to 6 months, that you're able to use a corporate credit card.
Okay.
So again, that's another financial thing. It's towards Christmas time, and you know you ran out of Christmas funds, and you use corporate credit card, and so.
I would say, Lynn Ann, take that back a bit. I wouldn't say up or anything. Last year, one of our employees had a Home Depot card because he picked up stuff for work.
Okay.
He went and charged $5,000 worth of things, and we could do nothing about it.
Wow.
You know, the police won't press charges for things like that, and we just had to eat that cost. He did it and never came back to work, and pretty much admitted it. And we filed a police report, and nothing's ever going to happen with that. You know.
Okay.
So you know those things are real. Those are real, and that doesn't. I don't even know if he had financial pressures or not, but he just decided to go do that. Yeah, $5,000, no problem. Tools and all kinds of fun stuff.
So much for a job, right?
Yeah, well, and if you want to lose your job for that, that's fine, and your integrity as well. But
Right.
you know, that's life. Sometimes that happens, unfortunately. All right, who else did not pick a topic yet? Did we all do one? I guess that means we did. All right, I'm gonna take a minute then and kind of wrap up our class. For everybody that's watched these recordings or participated, as a lot of you have done, I want to say thank you. It's been a fun class. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. We've tried to make it lighter and learn and make it different. I'm going to ask you guys a question. You're my only ones that are here. I made you a promise at the beginning of class. Do you remember what that was? It was about our group. It was about our groups.
Oh.
Okay, I'll tell you what it was. And said
I don't
that's okay. I told you that if you stuck with it, some of the best learning experiences you would have would be in these groups. Now, some people are watching this on the recording and they're going, "You're full of you know what, buddy," because these groups were a pain. But I would argue if everybody, not just you that are here, everybody took a look at those groups, what you learned, what trials you had to go through, what successes you had, what fun you had, whatever the case might be, I would argue that it was a big part of your learning. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I want you guys to tell me, yes, I agree, no, you're full of horse manure, or I'm not sure, I'm somewhere in the middle. Is that a correct statement? Is that an incorrect statement, and the groups were just a nightmare? What do you think?
No, I think it's very correct, because any group that you associate with, either if it's at work or at church or wherever you're at, you're going to have to learn to work together.
Okay.
And
All right.
everybody has different talents and different abilities, and in working together, you need to learn to do that.
Okay. Thank you, Lynette. Other opinions? I won't take offense if you all of a sudden hang up and drop off the screen.
I wish that every class did this, because I hate discussion boards. I think that groups are so much more. They're just way better. I learned so much more from interacting with a group than from reading things on a discussion board.
Okay.
I do too. It's
And
definitely better than the discussion board.
Yeah. Please
Yeah.
tell me if you seriously if you think it's bad. I'd like to hear that. And if this is not the place, then you can certainly give us that feedback in the end of course survey. So, but we've
The
tried to
most
make it that
important
way. Go ahead, Nancy.
thing that I enjoyed so much is like when we meet together and you do your spiritual thought. It's completely different than having a typed out spiritual thought to read. Totally different, you know.
Well,
Especially since we've already said a prayer before we even, before I even started and got online, that I'd be able to learn something, and so I
good.
know I learn something every time.
Good. Well, I appreciate that. Nicole, do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I just think it's funny because there's 3 of us in one group that are here.
I know. Yeah.
I definitely think we did learn a lot because we were able to bounce ideas off of each other and learn from. You've got more of an interaction there than when you're just, typing something on a discussion board to fill a requirement that you have for a class.
Okay.
There's more meaning there.
Right.
Well, this
Yeah, it had
class,
more meaning, it made it seemed more real, and you actually get more of a perspective out of it, hearing the tone with it too, than just reading the words.
okay.
Yep.
Right.
Well, good. Well, I want to end our night and our class with a couple of thoughts from me, and that is, first of all, sometimes Wednesday at 9 o'clock BYU Idaho time, I drag myself in front of this computer and it's like, oh, I don't want to do this. Without exception, every week, I walk away uplifted, energized, and enthused because of what you guys do, and I'm, by osmosis, implying that for the folks that are watching. These are uplifting for me as well, and I think they're great opportunities to talk. I'm grateful that we had a chance to talk about HR things, because those HR things are people things, they're church things, they're work things, they're stuff in your family things, they're your next door neighbor things. All this stuff is about people and how we interact. And I would encourage you, whether you are Nancy, you're the seed lady, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, and I'm just doing this because I remember, I don't know why I remember the seeds, but I remember the seed, your seed stories.
Yeah.
All right. Whether you work with Nancy in a seed company, or you work in a small mom and pop business, or you stay home with your kids, or whatever the case is, I would have you take what we've learned and see how those skills that are applied can help you work with other people better, and especially if that role is in the workplace, I think that some of our discussions can make that better for you. I do want to let you know that I really appreciate the fact that everybody's participated. I read the self-assessments every week, and most of our group is watching these tapes. Now, it's not a requirement to be here, and I appreciate, again, extra appreciation for you guys. There's been others that have been here as well, and I appreciate them as well. But even if you haven't, and you've only been listening, that's okay. We appreciate the thoughts, and if you contemplate what we talk about, etc., I think that will be helpful. One last thought is that I do, if you have any questions on your grade for anybody, any concern, don't write a complaint, call me, and we'll figure it out. And most of the time, the grades are pretty right on. They are all current. I have not graded week 11 yet, but everything else is there and current, and I think it's all filled out. I don't think there's any holes. So minus week 12 and 13, or well, 11, 12, and 13, you should be pretty clear on what your grade is. Call me or email me if you've got a concern about your grade. I don't want you to feel left out or like we've given you the shaft or anything else like that. And my last thought is, I do want to share with all of you my testimony. One of the beauties of teaching at BYU Idaho is we don't have to shy away from things that we feel are spiritual in nature. We've tried to have a spiritual thought. I think we've done that every week. We've had a prayer. You know, this is the Lord's church. It's the Lord's work. I know that a lot of you that are here tonight and a lot of the rest of you have come up through the Pathway program. My wife teaches in Pathway, and I'm exposed to that through her and others. It is such a blessing that the Lord has provided. And this is His work. This is His school. He's got other ones at BYU Idaho, LDS Business College, BYU Hawaii. I'm probably leaving some out. But this place has a very unique role in his work. I have gotten to appreciate all of you. Again, I wish everybody could have been here, but the ones that have been here pretty consistently, I appreciate your enthusiasm, your showing up, and the conversations that we've had. So I know that this is Heavenly Father's church. This is His school. This is His work. Heavenly Father lives, and His Son Jesus Christ is our Savior. I know that the Holy Ghost is with us and is hopefully alive and well in your life, and that the prophet Joseph was who he said he was and brought forth the Book of Mormon and all the blessings that go with that. So you guys are awesome. I'm going to miss you. Any questions or any help I can give you, you're welcome to email me in the future or give me a call. Occasionally I do job references for people or check a resume or something like that, and you're welcome to stay in touch with me, and I wish you the best. I will be up in Rexburg probably in December for another graduation, so if you graduate and are there in Rexburg in December, send me an email and we'll come by and shake your hand and give you a congratulations or something like that. My youngest son should be walking through graduation in December. He's my last one.
Congratulations.
Three BYU Idaho graduates, and my wife and I teach there. So we
awesome.
we kind of like the school. So you guys are great. Have a great night. Thank you all. God bless you, and you guys take care.
Thanks, Brother Bonnie.
Thanks,
You've been
Bonnie.
great.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good night.
Good night.
You
Good night.
too. Night.